Hey Rola, here is my file. I wanted to quickly show you maybe some tricks to help you, maybe what we tried yesterday to explore to do that a little bit quicker. I think if I memorized your model correctly, the key difference between your layout and my layout is I have those two profiles more or less parallel at the end. So this line does not bend up to here. So, and I have this line going from this curve to this curve. So it allows me to kind of like do this type of a rail there. And I have implied tangency. Actually, you know what? I can turn this one off because we might have to fix that later anyway by hand. Didn't I create? Oh no, I didn't. Okay. Again, click, click, click. There. Spacebar. This one to this one. Yeah, there's a problem. Just ignore it. Good. So let's take a look how this one feels. Now, before I continue doing anything, I'm going to turn on my 3D model. And I'm trying to pay attention to if I have anywhere some drastic key differences, and I do. So, for example, this curve ends here. This one flows, this other one flows as well. You can see slightly to there, but then the model, the full model looks this way. So obviously this curve can't really show it that way. So this last point here, I have to move over, but then I change everything else of my curve too much. So what I'm going to do is actually I change the degree to 6, except so I have a little bit more modeling material. And then I can go ahead and select this one, put this over, maybe actually align it on this line there, and then push this one back, push this one down, and there. This one slightly up and up, and down here. Whoops. This is okay. This all looks pretty good. Here, snap maybe onto this line. And then this point, push down, push this one up. And try to see how I could reposition these points to get that shape I want. There and there. Okay, good. So let's take a look at the side. How does, for example, this one look like? So let's go to a top view and maybe let's click on this corner. Okay, so this one I move along the z-axis down a little bit. So you see now it's pulling this one out further and then inwards. And this one down a little bit. Okay. Now this point actually I'm going to line up onto this edge. This line flows through my like two ends of my ring, so it's on the same plane, and then middle mouse button I can at least push it out a little bit till I need it. Okay, let's hope this is actually decent. So at this stage, maybe let's see if we can try to even out a few things a little bit more. So maybe I try to bring those lines down onto the middle a midline, so this goes down, this goes down, this goes slightly up. This one here, hold on. I'm actually snapping to this point, and then simply middle mouse button, push it out so it's tangent. Okay. Good, so small modification. Let's take a look at the shell now. And you see already it looks a little bit better and closer. Here I don't have a perfect match, so maybe I can push those points out, but also keep in mind that, how could I say that? The form model is slightly irregular. So one thing I'm going to adjust, I should have done that maybe before, is this point I move down and snap maybe to here and then push it out. Oh, no, wrong thing. That's not the one I wanted to select. I actually wanted to work on this curve. This curve is not tangent at the bottom. And I should have done that from the beginning. So here, this point. So nothing, CV, this one. I bring down there and move it back, kind of like where I needed to there. And this point of my line, I snap back onto something there. So now you see my revolve surface was for a moment cranky, and then aligned everything up again. And by having this one fixed, I think I maintain total continuity along the lower line. So that was worth actually the work a little bit. Okay, so this is basically step one. And the surface I make copy and paste, make a new layer, push it on that layer. And maybe here I'm going to turn those series off. Okay. And then we will have to do maybe a little bit of sculpting. So let's select the surface, CVs, and kind of crazy, a little bit. So that was implied tangency. And you see it's not really tangent. So let's make symmetry. And there you see the problem, kind of crappy. Okay, so what we're going to do is actually I'm going to select this layer, symmetry, create geometry, and then align 2008, both tangent, this edge to this edge, and then you see that flipped it a little bit. And the nice thing is now you see those important CVs, they are positioned correctly now, and then I can go ahead and, for example, here start pushing them out, making them a little bit longer. But best is not to do that while we have actually this align working. So I'm going to delete the construction history, and I'm going to do the align one more time on the bottom area. There. And this definitely properly changed a little bit the design. So this part I now can delete because the sides are actually now indeed symmetrical. And I can use this one now to start sculpting actually my shell a little bit more. So this point, for example, I push out a little bit more. Here, this is way too tight. Let's take a look at the bottom. Push this one out and out. Yeah, okay. Now let's take a look at the scan. Okay, so here this area got completely messed up. Okay, so step by step I'm going ahead now, just try to see if I can push the details back into my design. Kind of like there. So I have to simplify this a little bit, push this one a little bit down. What's up with here? Too high, push this one down. What's there? Too low, select all this, push it up. What's going on there? There, and maybe push this one to there. Now, those points here, they're too high. Go to there. Oops, you see that made this part wrong, so push that back or higher. This point is pretty terrible. So move this one in. There. See? Step by step, I start cleaning this one up one more time. This point, for example, is way too far in. So I try to pay attention to this white line. You see it had like it was pressing in there. And of course, that should not be the case. And then based on how you push and pull the CVs of your mesh here, you can start maybe reworking the way how the whole part looks. And for example, what I'm trying to do here right now is I try to see if maybe I can't clean up this design a little bit more by bringing a little bit of order into the way how those CVs are positioned. There. So now I'm getting closer to this scan data, etc, etc, etc. So here, this area, for example, is troublesome. There, move this one out. I know how far maybe those can move in. There, we start touching that mesh. Maybe this one is also way too far out. This should be something roundish. This one is too far out. Too far out. There, I'm getting closer. I hope this makes sense what I'm doing here right now. Okay. So, maybe a little bit more of cleanup. So those parts I will bring over to there. And this is kind of slightly rubbish the way how they're laid out. They should be better more be on a plane, or we can do that later. There are still some fundamental issues up there. Down. Okay, and I think actually we're getting pretty close, so let's do a small check. Section view there, flip. No. And visual clip. Let's rotate that one. No, wrong direction. There. Okay, now I can compare kind of my object to what I have. And I can see I'm not too far off actually. Certain areas I am. So actually here indeed your full model has this interesting shape. So what I did roundish, I didn't need to. Okay, so select nothing. Yeah, it's probably this edge here that makes it hard. So it's up to you to decide if you want to make it more roundish, like the way how I build it, or if you want to rather go back to the way how the full model is. Then, for example, maybe those CVs here, I'm going to scale. Where's transform? Non-proportional scale. Okay, don't use the scale. It seems to be too complicated. What I simply do is move them all into a line. And essentially, this one has to move inwards. This one has to move a little bit inwards as well. And then I have to do the same here to continue kind of like that direction that they're getting tighter here and here. So with these lines being, or those points being more in a line, you start flattening the surface there a little bit more. Let's see if this theory actually worked out. So dynamic section. Let's look one more time. Yeah, one got closer. No, the top area is too round or too high. Yeah, so you see they have to come down more. Zip. Let's do this one more time. Yeah, there we are. Okay, and you would just continue the stuff till it is the shape you like. And I think if I didn't mess anything up and we turn on symmetry and punch in tangency and tangency checks, it's all good. So we're still peachy. Now at this point, you can then finish the bottom part, which I'm doing with those lines here. So I have one and then another one. If I select those two curves, you can see how they're flowing together and then they're separating. So I can create a loft, not a line, of course. Skin, zip, zip, spacebar. And for example, let's make a quick preview. Intersect A spacebar, B spacebar, and trim, discard, discard. Okay. Now this doesn't look fantastic. If you want to keep this pinch, then do it. Otherwise, you would have to round it. And the easiest way to do that, for example, is simply let's untrim everything. I'm going to select the curve on networks. Now, what do we have on this layer? Okay, what I'm going to do, this one remains. Yeah. So, I'm going to delete this surface and also I'm going to this layer symmetry, create geometry. Okay, I have a duplicated, do not have a duplicated curve. So this one here, I'm going to mirror X and Y, yeah, perfect. And then go to skin, shift click, and there's that part there. Shift click, this is all A, spacebar, B, spacebar, and then trim, discard, discard. Whoops, what's now? Discard. Let's turn this one off. No, see, that looks better, and then you could round this one either with the round tool to get a preview or an idea. And then you can bring everything into Fusion. But if you bring everything into Fusion, make a copy. Copy and paste, layer, assign Fusion. And the main reason is simply to Fusion, you just want to bring over the raw surfaces like this. This is actually not splits. Here we can make a split. Then in Fusion we only have 1/2 because everything is perfectly symmetrical. So I click on detach, alt click onto this edge. You see it flips to the midpoint, spacebar, cut, gone. There, save and export. That's it.